Hello, and welcome everyone to today's webinar, where you will be hearing from the DiJulius Group's CX consultant, Nicole Paul, about how to turn angry customers into brand evangelists. Before we get started, I did want to mention that we have 2 more webinars left in our 2023 series. Next Thursday, December 7th, our Chief Revolution Officer, John DiJulius, will be presenting live, where he will explain the 8 best practices that world-class experience organizations do. And then we have our final webinar coming up in our series, hosted by our VP of Consulting, Dave Murray. He will be presenting on his and John's upcoming book that launches in the spring, The Employee Experience Revolution, and that'll be on Tuesday, December 12th. We also have a limited amounts of seats left for our Customer Experience Executive Academy class that starts in January, and it runs all of 2024. In the Executive Academy, students are challenged to develop a custom strategic plan for their organization while assessing the current state of service, and they work to build a culture that delivers world-class experiences consistently. You get to work side by side and learn from other passionate CX leaders across all industries and across the world. Information on how to register for our upcoming webinars and hear more about our CX Executive Academy will be included in the follow-up email that you'll be sent later today. It will also include a copy of today's recording along with Nicole's slide deck, so you have that for a frame of reference as well. Finally, before we get started, I will be monitoring the chat feature, which is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So if you need to communicate anything with me throughout Nicole's presentation, please feel free. I am here to help. And Nicole will also be taking live questions after her presentation. So feel free to submit questions for her to answer. There's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll make sure that everything gets answered before we end our time together today. So now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole.
When I was a little girl, the Tooth Fairy paid me a visit, and she brought me a shiny quarter. Now, I hear the going rate these days is a little bit higher than that, but my parents made a promise to me. They told me that once I had 4 quarters, I could go to the dollar store, and I could pick out any toy I wanted, and I could go shopping all by myself. I was so excited, and my teeth could not have fallen out of my head any slower, but we got there. I finally did it. I may have had to hit the dessert table a little hard to do it, but I still stayed in the No Cavity Club. But I finally hit the aisles of that dollar store, crisp dollar bill in hand, with the smell of cheap plastic surrounding me. The choices were endless, but I finally picked out that precious princess spinner and headed up right to the register, marched down, and threw the toy down. Cashier took one look at me and said, "That'll be $1.06, please." I looked at her and I said, $1.06? It'll be $1.06. I looked down at my dollar bill and I said, "But it's supposed to be $1." I don't know what to tell you. It's $1.06. Do you have enough money? No. So there I went out of the store, and really it's not this cashier's fault, but why couldn't she have made that situation better? She's now left with a 5-year-old little girl crying in her store. It's not her fault that the parents sent her in with not enough money or unsupervised. But now that I'm older, I realize that cashier probably could have been trained to have a little bit of empathy. See, there's going to be things that go wrong, different challenging customer situations. Sometimes we are going to drop the ball. Sometimes the customer is the one who dropped the ball. Maybe they are going to make the mistake. But why are we punishing them for that? And what can we do to make it right? That cashier could have used her wherewithal to think about maybe offering to put the toy on hold for me. Or maybe think about back in the day, we had the take a penny, leave a penny slots. Could she have maybe said, "Hey, let's see if there's enough pennies here"? Or, "Hey, can I help you find your parents?" She didn't feel empowered to fix the situation. She didn't have empathy. And the truth of the matter is, we have to learn how that we can be zero risk in our organizations. We're going to make mistakes. Issues are going to happen. That's the reality. It's human nature. But if you're zero risk, you can anticipate what those service defects might be, and we can have protocols in place to make it right. A lot of times issues are going to be beyond our control. Now, if you're zero risk, you're going to identify them, you're going to empower your employees to resolve the situations, and then you can move the needle to create brand evangelists, those people who are raving about your organization. My name is Nicole Paul, and I am a customer experience consultant here at the DiJulius Group, and this is what we do every day with organizations. Using our 10 commandment methodology, we help organizations create and systematize those processes. It all starts with a customer experience action statement. Do we have empathy for our customers? Do we know what a day in the life of our customer looks like? What are they dealing with before they come in contact with our organization? And these day and age, we really have to look at, what about world-class culture? What is the experience our employees are having within our organization internally? The employee experience. Because the fact of the matter is, your customers are only going to be as happy as your employees are. And then using a combination of commandments, you can also create your customer experience cycle using non-negotiable standards and secret service systems to systematize and make sure that we're not having gaps in the process in our customer journey. And then, of course, we're going to be talking today about Commandment 7, zero risk. Right? Anticipate those service defects and have those protocols in place. And of course, we need to make sure we're always measuring customer experience. Metrics are so important, and focusing also on that above and beyond culture and leadership. But today, as we talk about those service defects and having those protocols in place to make it right, it's about reducing them and then focusing on the recovery. We have to make sure we take care of these things in the right order. Now, if you were working through a full zero risk session, you could spend a whole day with your team on this. And this is what we do in our zero risk workshops. And we're going to cover a few of these things today and touch on them. But really, zero risk is going to cover, how easy are you to do business with? And where are we dropping the ball? What about those negative cues that might exist in our business? What things are we putting in front of our customers that are giving maybe a bad taste in their mouth? Or maybe putting up a wall between us? And what kind of recovery or protocols do we have in place? Can our customers or our employees do for our customers? And do we have good communication? Sometimes it's about the method of communication, and sometimes it's about our terminology. In this day and age, we run into lots of service avoidance, and we hear this all the time. No, the answer is no all the time. Now, listen, we work in some businesses where we can't say yes to people all the time. There's some banks, some credit unions in attendance, and we can't say yes to their loan if they have a 200 credit score. They don't have the credit worthiness, we can't approve their loan. But what are some things that we can do when we say, well, we're not able to approve your loan today, but here's some resources we can provide you. Maybe areas where they can boost that score to maybe come back and do business with you again, or maybe another organization that might be able to help them. And it's really important to also look at our customer challenges. If you look at where we're running into challenges or complaints, you can really work backwards and reverse engineer and avoid them from happening in the first place. So today, like I said, we're just going to have time to really high level touch on a few of these, including our ease of doing business, where we're dropping the ball, those negative cues, and recovery and protocols. Some low-hanging fruit that you can start with today. Now, one of the best organizations at zero risk that we've all probably engaged with is Starbucks. The barista promise is printed right on the cup. Love your beverage or let us know, we'll always make it right. This has happened to me quite a few times, and I don't know about you, but they don't ever check. They're really giving everybody the benefit of the doubt. You could grab a cup out of the trash on the way in, fill it with water, and say you didn't make this right, and they're going to remake your drink for you. So we have to think about, what are the typical customer challenge experiences we're having, and how can we be a little more unique like Starbucks? We're usually getting the third degree. We're getting questioned, or maybe the employee is oversharing with us. They want to make sure that we know it's not their fault. They'll fix it for us, but they're not the reason that we're upset. Placing blame, and we have to jump through hoops to get a resolution. It's so hard. multiple phone trees or different policies, make it really hard to get help. Companies hide behind policy. We use agreements and policies and contracts to protect ourselves, but we also use that sometimes to be a little bit defensive with our customers. And we can be better about that. We tell them, go back, read the small print, and we make sure the employees know that they can't break policy. But the problem is we're punishing a lot of our customers for no reason. We're putting all these rules in front of them, and it's really not benefiting the experience. Now, there was a study done that showed that sometimes having a service failure is more likely to give you a good result. See, if you mess up and do a really good job at making it right, you're more likely to be a hero to them than if you had had just a normal, benign experience with them and gone on your day. It was more memorable. So 97% of consumers return if a brand makes it right. Now, I'm not saying go out and make mistakes, but what I'm saying is if you do make a mistake, the customer isn't lost, and you're actually more likely to gain a brand evangelist if you have a system in place to make it right. Now, you can also see this full study in the slide deck. We're going to have a little link there that we'll send out for you. Now, we've always known that a 5% increase in customer retention can increase our profitability tenfold. We've known for years that our repeat customers are the ones who are spending more money than our new customers, and they give us better scores and they're referring more new customers. That's the reality of our world. It's about what customers are hearing from those brand evangelists. Word of mouth is a little more daunting these days because it's really about word of mouse. And those clicks move really fast. Keyboards move really fast, and people are more open and more vocal from behind a screen. And that's what we're up against. This is the most trusted form of advertising these days. Recommendations from people we know and what we're seeing online. We want to hear real world experiences. I don't know about you, but I use Reddit for just about any type of supplemental research because I want to read what real people are saying in addition to what I've read online and what I've read in the articles. Because people know they want to hear real, true experiences. So really, the easiest place to start is looking at, are you even easy to do business with? Because we're building these experiences as if our customers are out to get us. Our customers are on the defense. Don't you ever feel like this?
Okay, so I bought this cheese in your shop. It cost me $40, and when I got it home, there was a hair stuck to it. No, I don't have a receipt. Nevertheless, I would like my money back. Oh, really? Oh, really? You don't take cheese back, do you? Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do then. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. What am I going to do? I am going to go online, and I am going to write your unsanitary cheese shop a scathing review on Yelp. Boom! Mic drop. Ha! Ho. Hi.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, it's all good. It's just turning some cheese.
You sure? Do you need to call anybody?
Thank you, sir. That's very kind. So, I bought this cheese here. It cost me $40, and there is a hair stuck to it.
Oh, yeah, we can take that back.
Wait, what?
Here. Okay. Take this. Your next purchase is on us. Did you want to fight?
Yes, please. I would like to have a little bit of a fight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where's your receipt?
I don't have a
I
receipt.
can't take it back without a receipt.
Oh, yeah? Well, the name of the store is stamped on the cheese, okay?
How do I know you didn't just beat up somebody and steal it?
Who does that?
You might.
Really?
Yeah, you look like the kind who might.
I am going to go on Yelp, and I am going to give this place a scathing review. Scathing. I'm going to blow up the internet. I'm going to break it.
Oh my God, you scared me so much. Please take our money. Leave the cheese.
Thank you. Thank you. Was that so hard? It's called customer service.
Fine.
Thank you.
Fine.
Thank you. That was
You're
really
so welcome. A lot of people really like that.
That's great, too.
See you again. Bye.
Have you ever felt like the cheese lady? Why are we so defensive? Well, really, like I said, we're punishing our customers. We're punishing really a lot of the time 98% of our customers for something that we think maybe 2% might do to us. And we do this in haste all the time. One customer challenge arises, it's difficult to deal with, and we throw a new policy in place. But really what we're doing is we're putting up roadblocks. And we have to really do an assessment and look at what roadblocks are put in front of our customers, a lot of times even before they walk in our door, send us an email, engage with our website. Or what hoops are they jumping through? Are we putting scary and daunting terms in front of them? Are we making it really hard to do business with us, contact us, to understand how we can help them? So we have to think about negative cues. It's a really easy place to start. And this is something you can get off this webinar and start to look at immediately. But negative cues are those things that are hiding out there that give a negative connotation to our customers. And a lot of times, sometimes it's just inaccurate information or broken functionality. But we have to think about what is out there on our website, what type of verbiage and terminology is out there, the signs that we throw up. Just like policies that we put into place, we throw signs up left and right for everything in our brick and mortar businesses. And what are customers seeing? There's some of those things that are obvious. If you go to a restaurant and you can see in the kitchen and you can see that it's not cleanly, but there are a lot of things that people can see or maybe even hear. If you're in a business to business type of world, customers might not be there at your location, but if they see you on Zoom, they can see things in the background. If they hear you on the phone, they can overhear other agents on the phone. Or what about our agreements or even just the way our employees are acting? Some of that soft skill, facial expressions and the way people are reacting. And sometimes it's just outdated information, especially when it comes to our websites, our phone trees. When was the last time we ever did an audit of that and looked at the information that was there? Now, you're probably wondering, what is the difference between verbiage and terminology? Verbiage, we're looking at more how we might say things. And terminology, we're looking at more those technical terms that we might use internally. So one example when it relates to verbiage is about a contact form. I was doing a workshop and I was working with an organization who tested out their contact form. And they said, I love my response. This is great. Thank you for contacting us. We will try to get back to you as soon as possible. I said, I'm sorry, that's really kind of terrible. I said, what do you mean? So we'll look at that one more time and think about the way those words are written. We will try to get back to you. We might not. And we'll get back to you as soon as possible. What does as soon as possible mean? I don't know about you, but real quick to my husband is not really real quick. If he says he's going to go work on a project real quick, I'll probably see him in about 5 hours. So as soon as possible to one person might mean within 1 hour, but as soon as possible to someone else might be within 3 business days. So we have to change that verbiage and make it more clear. We just have to change the wording. And then think about terminology, those differences. So our fans from Office Space, those TPS reports. Now, I'm sure everybody over there knew what a TPS report was, but I didn't. I had to look it up. If I was a customer of theirs and they said something to me about their TPS report, all I know is that Peter's got to stay late on the weekend to get it finished. For those who didn't know, it's actually test procedure specification. So that's your movie trivia for the day. But we have to look at terminology. Some common ones that we might see or run into: B2B or B2C, business to business or business to consumer. Or for those who have been on this webinar or engaged with our organization in the past, might say, what is TDG? Well, it's the DiJulius Group. We use that internally, but we have to realize that people externally might not know what that means. Or you might call us up and say, hey, I'd like to order some books. Great. Would you like CSR, tree? What does that mean? I don't want a tree. I want a book with the paper once it's come out of the mill. But to us, that's customer service revolution. We're not going to type that out every time we talk internally or treat the relationship economy. But we get such in a habit of using these things internally, we use them externally with our customers and they're confused. It's kind of like when you go to the doctor and they don't give you things in layman's terms. We have to speak to them in the language that they understand. Or you heard me maybe talk about it earlier today, CXEA. What is that? It's the Customer Experience Executive Academy, or Ford, not a motor company. In this instance, it's family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And sometimes this happens internally. Okay, sometimes we'll use terms like Ford with our new employees, acting like they know what we mean. But if we haven't trained them on that, we can't expect them to just pick that lingo up. We have to be clear. I worked once with a manufacturer that owns different divisions of the same type of business, but they're all technically different organizations. But they work together, they share materials, they share employees, they're sister companies. But in their inventory of parts, something is called flashing in one system for one organization and something called siding in another. But technically, they're the same exact part and they can be used interchangeably. So that's very confusing. We should be using the same terminology, same part numbers, because we're even now making our employees frustrated. And that's going to trickle down to our customers. Or terms like SOP, Standard Operating Procedure. I work with somebody in the aircraft industry, and people call them up all the time and say, I'd like to buy a plane. And they say, I'm sorry, we're MRO only. What does MRO mean? Well, that's maintenance, repair, and overhaul. So they're more about the service and ongoing maintenance and repair or refreshing of an aircraft. Or if we've ever worked with a graphic designer, think about the things like DPI and PPI. They may have said, can you send that to me in better DPI or PPI? Or they might even just say high resolution. But if you're not somebody who works with graphics and imaging, you don't know what that means. So we have to be clear with people. And again, do an audit of those division or site differences. Where are we maybe making things confusing internally? But we're putting up these signs and these roadblocks. We've all seen this sign, employees must wash hands before returning to work. It sounds a little accusatory. It sounds a little negative. However, we know that legally we have to use this term in a lot of states. However, why do we need 4 of those signs in the same restroom? What message is that sending? No employee has ever walked into this bathroom and said, I wonder what a customer would think about this. So what areas can we look at, both physically or digitally, in our organization? Or what about this? You must have the receipt to use restroom. What kind of silly policies are we throwing up? Or how about this one? First of all, why are you yelling at me? It's in all caps, it's bold, it's underlined, and it's highlighted. You've made your point. One, there's too much information here. It's hard to read. You're yelling at me. It's very accusatory. But there's a little bit of an overshare in there too. I'm either assisting another patient or handling specimens. I really, really hope that this receptionist did not just come out of that bathroom with the 4 wash your hands signs. So think about that, especially this is going to be the first impression for many in this business. Or this wine bar, it looks like a lot of fun. No, 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 no. They simply could have said what's right at the bottom, business casual or business attire is suggested. I had a friend who saw this place and said, I really wanted to check it out, but I was out for a run. So I'm going to go back on my next trip down to Texas. They went back and sure enough, they were closed. Or how about this park? Want to go have fun, play with the dog and the kids? Not at this park. Or maybe let's take a nice, relaxing trip and stay at a nice historical Airbnb for a relaxing weekend.
Is there a cap on how many rules can be displayed at Airbnbs? Antique and fragile. Please do not attempt to open or pull on knobs. Decorative piece only. Do not touch or move for any reason. I am 10,000 years old and will break if you look at me the wrong way. Got it. Over here. Absolutely no jumping on beds. Any breakage of beds will be immediately passed to renters. Understood? These shelves, owner's use only. Microwave is automatic. Do not pull, open, or push to close. Please do not clean marble countertops or appliances with any abrasives. Please only use soap and water spray bottle provided below sink. On departure, please leave all furniture and bedding in respective rooms and houses where originally found. This was our grandmother's table. Please be kind to it and use a placemat. Shh. For stains, Incredible is located under sink. Or just use soap and water. Do not touch. Do not turn leper.
I think they were actually missing a sign on the front door that says, "Do not stay here." Or better yet, we need a sign for the owner that says, "Do not host an Airbnb," because you don't want any guests. What kind of message is that sending? And what are you trying to tell me here? And the door's wide open. Don't come in here. And we're blind to these signs. There's so many signs around us that we ignore them anymore. Especially in the past few years, there are signs everywhere. And 90% of the time, they're outdated or they have incorrect information on them. So why are they still there? And we see this a lot, and I understand this. I understand this. If you're on your cell phone while at the counter, we're not going to wait on you. Why are we reprimanding customers for being on their phones? Now, some organizations may have been through the process of creating a customer experience action statement. And they might know that they have to understand the day in the life of a customer, what they might be going through. They might be on the phone for a very good reason. Maybe it was an urgent call from their doctor about their sick grandmother. We don't know. So what can we do? What tools can we create to have in place? Like this from the National Cleaners Association that they created for their members. This is something that they created so that both parties can get what they want. I understand as an employee, it's very frustrating for a customer to be rude and on their phone and ignoring you. But how can we maybe make things work for both parties? Put down your name. What are you here for? Do you have any instructions? So instead of scolding them, how can we adapt? How can we make it easier and more possible for them to be a customer of yours? Or how about this? New business cards. Just don't talk to me. What's the point? Make it easy to do business with you. Evaluate signage, policies, your customer journey process, what walls and roadblocks are there. But we also have to look at where do we drop the ball the most? Because while we might have negative cues or things in place that are angering our customers, we're obviously sometimes going to drop the ball. We're going to make mistakes. So where do we drop the ball the most? And maybe where can we be aware of that to help those situations? At John Roberts Spa, a salon here in the Northeast Ohio area, these are the areas where they can drop the ball a lot. And as far as the appointment goes, is it even scheduled? Is it for the right day or time or the right provider? And price. If we miscommunicate with people about price, especially in an industry where things can be such a varying cost, it's not just simple like the dollar store. And even the dollar store wasn't simple. It wasn't just $1. There was tax in that equation, something my parents didn't think through. Now it's okay. I got my 6 cents. I got my princess spinner, but we have to think through these things. How can we make sure our customers are prepared? And at Advanced Financial, they're a payday lending organization in the South. And when people come to them, it's because they need money and they need money quickly for an urgent situation. So they can drop the ball if they don't have the proper response time or accuracy of their loan. They could cause a world of problems for their customers. And we have to be professional and make sure we're quoting people properly. So we have to evaluate those areas where we're commonly dropping the ball so that we can maybe have things in place to avoid those from happening. And when we talk about dropping the ball, I recently placed an order from a company to support a fundraiser for a nonprofit that's near and dear to my heart. While I was on there, I saw that they also had like a little mystery pack where you got some bonus bracelets, and I said, I'll check that out too. So I placed the order. It finally arrived. It seemed like it took forever because we're used to Amazon. We're used to things showing up the same day or the next morning. And if you look here, that one bag showed up and it was empty. And that was the bag for the bracelet I had placed the whole order for. So needless to say, I was a little bit disappointed. So I reached out and I said, hey, what can we do to make this right? They set some new expectations for me. I got an automatic response, which was amazing. They let me know that they're working hard and they're going to get back to me in 24 to 48 business hours. Very clearly define those terms. They also let me know what their hours were and what their business days were. And they also let me know that if I wanted to get some quick answers, I could check out their FAQ page. I might be able to answer my question myself without having to wait for them. Wonderful. So then they set their play. They said, thanks for sending that over. That was great. And they said, you know what? I've already processed a new order for you and you're going to get an updated tracking. And she let me know to ignore the shipping charge. And I was wondering about this, and I looked back at my email and it looked like they had charged me more money. It must be something in their system they can't avoid where they're eating the cost of the replacement. She just wanted me to be at ease before I saw that, which I appreciated. And then she said, I've upgraded your shipping to priority. Oh, great, because I could not wait to get this item. She thanked me for being patient and understanding. It was great, but they had another fumble because that original order that seemed like it took forever to get took 8 days to get. But then my replacement priority order took 11 days. So why are these things happening? Why are we dropping the ball again and again and again and again? And we've been good this year in Cleveland, I know. But why do we keep dropping the ball? Why do our employees set these amazing plays, but then they just keep dropping the ball again? Problem is we don't have good recovery tools in place. So something that you can look at is creating a service recovery process. And we recommend using an acronym for these steps. Like at Starbucks, they used the term latte. So it was something memorable that fit their industry. And it also covered the steps that they want people to follow. Listen, acknowledge, take action, thank, and encourage. And at Chick-fil-A, they use the last model: listen, apologize, solve, and thank. And at John Roberts Spa, they're told to do the least. What do you mean, do the least when there's a customer problem? Listen, empathize, apologize, solve, and thank. And I think it's very important. And again, those who have focused and created a customer experience action statement and a day in the life of the customer and been through that process understand the importance of the empathy and the apology and really understanding. That's something that was missing with the bracelet resolution. I don't know if you noticed, she said, thanks for sending that over. She thanked me. She's replaced my order. I never once received an apology. So they might have fixed it, kind of, but I never really felt that they felt bad about the situation, which as a customer doesn't sit well. And our friends at Alpenhaus, they are empowered to be heroic. Hear, empathize, restate, right? Clarification. Make sure we understand what our customers are saying. Own it. It doesn't matter who messed up, whose problem it was, just fix the problem and be their hero. We want to be innovative and we want to confirm and think. And at Colton RV, they use the terms leap to action. Now, we have to give our employees some ideas behind this. We can't just give them an acronym and understand what they need to do. So we need to take it a step further and give them examples, right? Break down the why behind each of these steps so that they understand the process to the resolution. Now, empathy is key, and we have to understand that not all situations are cookie cutter. They're not all cut and dry. I once did some work with an RV manufacturer, and they once received a call about someone who had both a full refrigerator in their unit as well as a mini refrigerator. We're talking about those RV units that are massive mansions on wheels. They're beautiful. The bathroom is bigger than my bathroom at home. It's a home away from home. It's a paradise. And so oftentimes you have people working in the call center who are set to a very strict, rigid set of rules when it comes to warranty claims and the process for fixing things. And they get calls all the time from people who are panicked about things that seem so very minute, like a soap dispenser or a door jam, or like the call an agent got one day where a guy was up in arms because his mini fridge was not working. And he said, this needs to be fixed tomorrow. I leave for Texas and I cannot leave for this trip without this being fixed. Now, the agent knew there is no way he's going to get a dealer to be able to even get the part, get that replaced within 24 hours. That's not possible. And most of the times we would just resort to, this is the standard, this is the policy, it will be so many days. However, that agent had the wherewithal and the empathy, because they have a customer experience action statement as well, to ask a few more questions and just get some information while he was looking up what he could do for this customer. And really, if you were that agent, what would you be thinking? All right, buddy. So what if your mini fridge isn't working? Grab a cooler, grab some ice. Your beers will be just fine if you throw them on the counter. Or can't you put some of those in the fridge with the rest of your food? I'm sure it'll be real nice. Maybe you're going down to the race this weekend. That's where our assumption might go. But this agent instead had that empathy and compassion and just started to ask a couple more clarifying questions to get some information from him. Where do you live? When do you leave? What are you storing? And asking those few questions then really revealed the layers of the onion. This man was traveling to Texas because he had cancer and he had chemo treatment coming up. And so he had medicine that he needed to keep in a controlled temperature environment. You can't just throw that on ice in a cooler. And you can't just throw that in the fridge with the rest of your food because that's radioactive. That's not good for the food or the other family who's sharing with you. So this agent was empowered to also not only listen, but make it right and solve the solution in this rare instance where he realized, I truly need to get this man's problem solved in the next 24 hours, or it could be something life and death. It isn't just about beers for a tailgate. So he let him know, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get this resolved for you for at least another week, but here's what I've done. I've looked up the Walmart that's about 5 minutes from your home. I've already placed an order for a small mini fridge. You'll be able to plug it to your supplemental power with an extension cord. Use that for the duration of your trip. When you get back, give us a call. We'll set up that time for the dealer repair. And he said, great, thank you so much. He said, so how do I get the fridge back to you? And he said, no, that's for you. Now we might think, oh, we can't go out and buy everyone a mini fridge, and we can't. But in this situation, he could have stuck to the policy and caused tons of problems for this customer. But instead, he was empowered to simply spend about $100 in petty cash. Now, given that they work on units that are in the numbers of $100,000, $200,000, that's not unheard of, to give a little bit of a leeway to make a situation right. And now that customer is out there talking about this company and how they made things right and went above and beyond. So if you think about how word of mouth can be very good or very detrimental, he could have stuck to this policy and said, I'm sorry, no exceptions. But instead he listened to the situation. Some of you might remember the situation of a dying Vietnam veteran who needed to cancel his flight on Spirit. And he was even just trying to get the ticket transferred over to his daughter so she could maybe come see him before he passed. And they said, no, you didn't buy the $15 insurance policy. We can't do that. He didn't even want money back. He didn't want anything for free, and they would not budge. And that went viral. And think about all of our perceptions of how that looks and how they were treated. The scary thing is we're playing rep roulette a lot of the times because not all of our team members are trained or equipped to handle these customer challenges. It might depend on the manager on duty, the type of day they're having, the experience they have, if we don't have these zero risk systems and protocols in place. And that empathy is crucial. So you really have to look at everything as a whole. Focus on your action statement, your day in the life, our customer experience cycle. What is our customer journey that they're going through? And a study was done that shows that 68% of our customers expect empathy from companies, but only 37% of customers say they feel that they're getting empathy from companies. But that's also a little discouraging because that means 32% of us have no faith in the companies that we do business with. It's so important because people are very selective about where they're spending money these days in this type of economy. It's very important. And we have to make sure the tools are in place and we're giving our employees examples. So sometimes we have to share those stories. Stories are so important, not just customer complaints, but how did we go above and beyond? And you can simply break things down and just give an example of what are some tools that we can use, when we can use them, and how they can be utilized. Maids International did the same thing. They have a playbook that follows through how we can minimize those challenges and protocols. What are some different steps that we can go through? We can't assume that our employees are going to know how to understand different situations. So if you can see, the screen on the right shows how there's different levels of a situation. Was it a minor inconvenience or a major inconvenience to the customer? So if that guy was traveling with his RV and just was taking beers to a tailgate, we wouldn't buy him a mini fridge. That wouldn't be necessary. It's a minor inconvenience. But in the situation where he's traveling for healthcare, for chemo meds, it's a major inconvenience. Can also have little quick tools. Starbucks, we mentioned earlier, this backs up the promise they have on that cup, that barista promise. We back it up with tools. It's the promise that we saw in the cup. Your next one's on us. I've gone in and said, hey, this wasn't right. I've even said I ordered the wrong thing. I'm so sorry. They fix it and they've handed me this card for a free coffee. So we can have backup tools to support this. And sometimes it's not when we drop the ball. Sometimes it's also just having empathy for a situation. At the melting pot, a lot of times they might have a situation where a card might not go through. If someone's hosting a business dinner or even their family, that's a little bit awkward. And we don't really want to come to the table and say, we're sorry, your card was declined out loud. So they have a slip that they put in and says, we weren't able to get authorization and this is how we're going to handle the situation. We give them options so that we don't have to make our customer look bad. Make your customer the hero, and in turn, they'll call you their hero. Thing is, these challenges are really exhausting. Employees are stressed, we're tired, we're burnout, we're short-staffed. And a lot of times it's just because we're overwhelmed and we're afraid. We're afraid that we're not going to be backed up by the organization. I recently had a delivery order that got messed up, and I called them and I said, hey, I can't have this due to an allergy. And within 20 minutes, they had the correct meal at my door. Now, it was great. And I thought they handled it really, really well until the driver handed me my food. I said, thank you so much. I'm so sorry you had to come out here again. And he looked at me, he said, I'm so sorry for their mistake. It wasn't necessary. I know you didn't make the wrong food for me or the delivery driver, but why did he feel the need to make sure that I knew that? Well, employees are scared. They're fearful. We have policy and they don't feel inspired to make it right or be innovative and make things better. We want our employees to feel like the hero, not the punching bag. And we have to make them understand, to know why a customer is escalated and understand it's not personal. It's not about you, right? They're not escalated about you. It's not personal. It's about the roadblocks that they're running into. So how can you take action? Where can you start? Well, you can first and foremost evaluate those areas that you drop the ball the most. Okay, look at where we're dropping the ball consistently. Go through and do an audit of negative cues, policies, where are customers engaging with us, whether it's physically or virtually. And really, we also need to make sure we're empowering those team members. Do they have processes and tools and permission to make situations right without having to escalate them? Now, there's a lot of steps to take to ultimately become zero risk, but these are a few places that you can start. This is some low-hanging fruit. Because really, all you have to do is take those angry customers and turn them into brand evangelists so that they have those heart eyes and love for you. Because that word of mouth will pay back. Thank you, everybody.
That was awesome, Nicole. Thank you so much. I just want to give a minute maybe to see if we have any live questions coming in. I know she gave a ton of amazing information. So I'll give you guys a minute and I'll just reiterate that again, you will be getting a follow-up email from me later today. Again, it'll mention all of our live webinars that we have left for 2023, information on how to reach out about additional services that the DiJulius Group offers and who to contact and how. It'll give information about our Customer Experience Executive Academy that begins in January. And then of course, it'll obviously include a video of Nicole's presentation along with her slide deck.
And we'll also have a link in there too for that service recovery study if you want to learn a little bit more about that.
Perfect. Thank you for adding that in, Nicole. All right. I think you killed it. I don't think anyone has any questions. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We appreciate you spending time with us. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will follow up soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.